looks me in the eye and says it was the Cold War and we found a life form.
Tom DeLonge. You may know his name from the band known as Blink-182. Tom has had a very successful music career and started gaining some interest in the topic of UFO and aliens. He would go on to write a few novels dealing in this topic, also meeting with some pretty big names in UFOlogy, but unfortunately would seem to gain the attention of the government as well.
So it's just because you printed this stuff in the book that they wanted to pull you aside and talk to you about this for 2 days?
And I was all over radio and talking about it, and I was saying some other crazy shit that I can't repeat. So people listening, if they want to go back and look at those interviews, that's a better way to...
Okay, so you had said something in those interviews that you can't say again because they told you to stop talking about it.
Absolutely. I got to be a little careful with some of this, but I got brought into something, and they sat me down and they said, first it was like, we need to know who the F you are. We need to know who the F you're talking to. It was crazy. It was like 2 days of hardcore questioning. And
you're lucky you didn't end up in Guantanamo.
I was pretty scared, to be honest. And I remember I talked my way out of this, and they said, well, let me just give you an idea of the stakes of what you're playing with, And something was said to me, and I didn't sleep for like 3 nights. I was like, oh my God, you just don't have any idea as a civilian the enormity of these things.
That attention didn't slow Tom down, as he would go on to found To the Stars Academy in 2015. The company's mission statement says, "Our mission is to be a vehicle for the change by inspiring a newfound appreciation and understanding for the profound, yet unresolved, mysteries of the universe that can have a positive impact on humanity." His lineup of people that work in this company is quite amazing. A lot of them have worked in 3-letter government agencies, aerospace, science, and entertainment. So I encourage you to take a look at their website and check out more of their content. It's pretty impressive. All of the following clips are about his experiences and knowledge regarding UFOs and aliens.
I went through I got to be careful with how I say certain things. I went through some Department of Defense officials, and then I went through NASA, and I eventually got connected to the general who holds the keys to all this stuff, like a multi-star. With every breath I'm singing hallelujah. Said, okay, we're going to introduce you to somebody. And when that happened, it was like, oh my God, because that conversation was life-changing. That was me in the back of a booth with this guy that sat down at the table in a vacant restaurant, and that hour conversation, like...
Were you nervous as hell sitting across from...
Yeah, super nervous, because this topic's really scary. It's like, UFOs, oh wow, there's these things in the sky. Well, it's much bigger than that. It's much, 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 much bigger. They said, we got to figure out what this subject is, what this topic is. We got to figure out what it is, who it is, what they're doing, all that kind of stuff. And we need to do it in crazy secrecy because this is really, really, really advanced stuff.
And what was the really, really advanced stuff?
Well, the machinery,
which is what?
The crafts itself.
Aircrafts.
They're not even really air. They're transmedium.
Transmedium travel. Objects that have the ability to travel easily in various environments and conditions seemingly without any change in performance capabilities.
When you use the technology, you have there's a time difference between what they're doing inside of an artificially created bubble of gravity of sorts, and then what's on the outside. So if you're on the inside of one of those machines, everything would be skewed more black and white. There would be like a red shift, and everybody would look frozen. So you literally could fly around and grab a Coke out of someone's hand and put it in someone else's hand.
Why aren't there better pictures, Tom,
there
of
are.
crafts?
There are, but a lot of them are classified for various reasons, too. It's funny, the UFO in a video isn't classified, but where they caught the photo might be, on what system might be. So that's the problem. It's like, okay, we weren't supposed to be over Russia or something, It's like, or the camera is like so crazy good that we don't want anyone to know we can take pictures like that. So it's things like that make it difficult. So I got on the phone with this person, and this person, go, I'm a skeptic. And then at the end of the conversation, he goes, fly out and see me. And so I did. And that's when things really started happening. So I fly out to this airport, and I sit at a table in a restaurant at the airport. No one's in there. And this gentleman sits down, And the waiter comes up, he waves off the waiter, and he looks me in the eye and says, it was the Cold War, and we found a life form. I have met very, very, very high-ranking intelligence officials.
Name them.
That have had encounters.
Experiences.
Is that right?
Direct encounters.
Yeah, there's actually some really unnerving aspects as to far, there's one program where there's hundreds of operatives that have been having contact, and they're trying to figure out what that's all about.
right.
Different races are coming here, and they're trying to win and against
So
each
there's more
other.
than one
Oh
race.
yeah.
How many
This
different ones
universe we're talking about.
Right.
I don't know how many. I don't know.
But there's a bunch of different creatures, and they all have the same sort of technology?
Yeah, and some are very human. Some look just like you and I.
Really?
Absolutely, yeah. But the reality is that once we realize that the universe is teeming with life, that there's billions of galaxies for a reason, the technology not only exists, we've figured out how to play with it. I mean, there's a piece of metal from a crash that I've seen, and I've seen the science on it, and it's atomically aligned, and it's layered in like 80 layers within just a few microns of purities of metal that aren't even in our solar system. And they think it needs to be made in an area where there's no gravity. So number one, it has to be made in space. Number two, even if we were to create a machine that can potentially do some of this stuff, 3D printing layers of different metals of obscene purities, it would cost hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. We don't even have that. I do know that there's connections to, man, you won't even fucking believe it. I'll tell you that. You want to hear
Please.
it? Atlantis.
Atlantis, the sunken city?
Yeah.
There's a connection?
There's a connection.
What's the connection?
That there's a very advanced group that left after a catastrophe and hung around in a small outpost here, and throughout time would push civilization forward, and that's who the Greek gods were.
Whoa.
Yep. And that's why it's very interesting on the Roswell wreckage, there's Greek writing.
Is there?
There is. So I'm sitting with this guy. He was like, not that long ago, was director of CIA, and he went on to be director of NSA. Okay.
Well, I think we can find his name.
Maybe. But right when I sat down and told him about the book, you know what he says to me?
What?
He goes, I didn't read much science fiction as a kid, but I read a lot about Greek mythology. And looked me in the eye. I said, well, you're going to love the last page of my book then. He's all, am I? What people have to realize is, the UFO phenomenon isn't a phenomenon. There's the universe is fucking gigantic, and there's life everywhere. Every fucking where. And there's a lot of life that's way more advanced than we are. And just like Voyager left our solar system, a little dinky satellite from the 70s, and just like my company's going to be building, this electromagnetic craft that really can do the same thing to time that I've been telling you about. Other civilizations have that too, which means you can traverse those distances of space. And what you have to think about is what happened when we first discovered that, and what did we do about it? And there's no, you got to look at 47 in a very peculiar way. 90 days after the Roswell event, CIA was created, the Air Force was separated from the Army, the National Security Act was created, and all those things are mechanisms to start learning more and to start getting private industry off the ground. We're also going to show videos that just got declassified from our most advanced systems. I think they call it the Aegis system. It's a radar system and forward-looking infrared of UFOs. I have those in possession actually already. And so we're going to show the videos that the first time in history, by the way, that videos of UFOs have been declassified. And by doing a traditional IPO in the next 5 to 7 years, and to do that, I grabbed very, very high-ranking people from various areas in the government to achieve all this stuff.